Hello everyone, Weather Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on the weather across Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean. It is Tuesday evening, April 22, 2025. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you guys like the video. I'd really appreciate it if you guys get this video to 100 likes. If you don't know by now, that's how the YouTube algorithm works. We all like the video and then the YouTube algorithm pushes the video out to more persons who are in the path of these tropical systems so that we can keep everyone safe, especially during the peak months of Atlantic hurricane season, that's August through to October. Share this video with your friends, your co-workers, your relatives, and even your church brethren, and subscribe if you haven't yet done so. Please ensure that you all utilize the progress bar that's located at the bottom of the video, as well as the timestamps that are located not only in the comment section but the video description, so that you can skip to the points in the video that you want to see the most in order to save time, because we know that the videos over here at the Jamaica can be very long. Leave a comment down below letting me know what the dice be like in your area recently. Also feel free to ask any weather related question that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. Alright, so we're going to be looking at the US Climate Prediction Center's Global Tropics Hazards Outlook that just came out today, April 22, from the forecaster Barandiaran. And they're highlighting what the weather is going to be like across the globe for the time period from April 30 to May 6, as well as May 7 to May 13. And we're going to be focusing our attention on the part of the world that has Jamaica right here, the Atlantic, the Caribbean, and what both maps are showing for the time period from April 30 to May 6 and May 7 to May 13 are the fact that a majority of the Caribbean, including Jamaica, are shaded in the greens or the lighter shades of greens. That represents a 50% chance of above average rainfall. Very interesting. We know that what the US Climate Prediction Center usually says isn't 100% set in stone, but it does paint quite the picture of what's to come. We know that May is the first month of our secondary rainy season in Jamaica, so definitely coincides with climatology in a sense. It's going to be interesting to see exactly what unfolds, and I'll definitely be here to keep you posted with what occurs. On another note, we need to highlight a phenomenon that took place last night. Viewers spotted something in the sky yesterday evening across Jamaica, and they saw what looked like some kind of unidentified flying object with some lights behind it, and then some persons were saying that it disappeared into thin air. Some people were saying, oh, it's aliens. Some people were saying, oh, is Jesus coming back on Easter Monday? Well, actually, clarification came through. They stated, yes, SpaceX launched a Falcon 9 rocket with a Cargo Dragon spacecraft on April 21, 2025. This was their 32nd resupply mission for NASA, carrying supplies and science hardware to the International Space Station. The launch took place from Kennedy Space Center in Florida, for who asking. So basically SpaceX, you know, that company that has to do with Elon Musk, they were basically sending out another rocket out into space. So it was nothing dramatic. It had nothing to do with the weather at all. Definitely got some messages yesterday about it. So I'm glad that we have some amount of clarification regarding it. We're going to be looking at what the next 7 days have in store for us, according to the latest Euro and GFS supercomputer model runs that came out today. So keep your eyes focused on the timestamp right here at the top as we go to the next 168 hours. Keep your eyes focused on Jamaica right here as we look for all of this that we see on the key on the right. That's the reds, the oranges, the yellows, and the greens that represents inches of rainfall. So let's see what's going to be taking place. As we head into Wednesday morning, what do we see? Not really much of anything across Jamaica. Then on Wednesday afternoon, still not much of anything at all. Maybe some isolated showers in the late afternoon hours. We'll see how that plays out across the southwest. What does the GFS show? Do we have agreement? 7 a.m. on Wednesday, not really much of anything across Jamaica. We do see a strand of green that represents some isolated shores extending from the Windward Passage down into Portland. By the afternoon, it's going to be interesting to see how that actually plays out. Let us see what Thursday has in store for us. On Thursday, we see rainfall to our north, we see rainfall to our far south. That's Thursday morning. Then on Thursday afternoon, very interesting. Eastern, central, and western parishes are getting back on the afternoon rainfall. Let us see if we have agreement on the GFS model. On Thursday morning, we see rainfall to our south. We see rainfall across northern Jamaica. Then, by Thursday afternoon, just like what the Euro was showing, rainfall across eastern, central, and western parishes. Very interesting. Let us see what Friday morning has in store for us. On Friday morning, we see a lot of rainfall across the eastern Caribbean into portion of the ABC Islands. We also see some isolated shores across northern parishes in Jamaica. And then, on Friday afternoon, look at that, rainfall across the eastern, central, and western parishes. Let's see if the GFS is showing the same thing. Friday morning, rainfall to our north. Then, on Friday afternoon, rainfall across eastern, central, and western parishes. So I guess tomorrow, Wednesday, is going to be the final day of the dry period that we've been experiencing. Seems like the rainfall, especially the afternoon rainfall, is going to return on Thursday, Friday. Very interesting. Let us see what Saturday morning has in store for us. On Saturday morning, we see rainfall to our north. We see some isolated shores to our south on the Euro. Then, by Saturday afternoon, look at that, rainfall across eastern, central, and western parishes once again. What does the GFS show for Saturday morning? Rainfall to our south, rainfall to our north. Then on Saturday afternoon, look at that once again. The greens represent rainfall across eastern, central, and western parishes. What does Sunday morning show? Is it gonna load Sunday morning or is it glitched out? Seems to have glitched out. I don't know. Okay, there we go. So on Sunday morning, what do we see? Rainfall, especially to the south of Hispaniola. We also see some amount of rainfall into portions of the Leeward Islands. Very interesting. Let us see if the afternoon on Sunday is showing something similar. Rainfall across eastern, central, and western parishes. What does the GFS show for the same time period? Sunday morning on the GFS shows rainfall to the south of Jamaica, to the south of Hispaniola. Then on Sunday afternoon, we see that rainfall more so across eastern, northern, and western parishes. Very interesting. Let us see what Monday has in store for us. On Monday morning, what do we see? Rainfall to the south of Jamaica, to the south of Hispaniola, into a portion of Puerto Rico and the Leeward Islands. We also see some isolated shores across northeastern Jamaica. Very interesting. Then on Monday afternoon, we see a rainfall to Jamaica south, to Hispaniola south. Then we're going to be stopping it right here at the end of the 168 hours. And we're starting to see a mix of an abundance of rainfall extending from northern portion of North Atlantic all the way down to Puerto Rico, Hispaniola, the waters of the central to the southwestern Caribbean. Very interesting. What does the GFS have in store for us? Let me see if I can reload this up. I don't know why it's choosing to glitch out all of a sudden. Okay, good. Maybe a reload will fix it. Alright, so on Monday morning, what do we see? We see some amount of rainfall, especially across the eastern to the central and southern Caribbean. Look at the greens. We see some isolated shores across northeastern Jamaica as well. Then on Monday afternoon, we see that rainfall across eastern, central, and western parishes. So I'm guessing it's definitely coinciding with what the CPC is forecasting for the end of April. Very interesting. Then we're going to be stopping it right here at the end of 168 hours. So this is also valid for Tuesday, April 29, just like what the Euro was showing. And we also see the abundance of moisture extending from the northern portion of North Atlantic all the way down to Hispaniola, Puerto Rico, and section of the Caribbean into the southwestern Caribbean. It's going to be very interesting to see how it all plays out. And if we take a look at the total accumulated precipitation forecast for the next 7 days, both maps right here from the Euro and the GFS are showing all the rainfall that's expected from now up until Tuesday, April 29. And look at the key on the right. The key on the right is showing us the greens into the yellows into the oranges and the reds that represents what we see here on the map. That's representing anywhere from 0.1 of an inch of rainfall all the way up to at least 1.5 inches of rainfall. And we can clearly see that most of that is going to be affecting a portion of the Bahamas, section of central to western Cuba, the Cayman Islands, eastern portion of Yucatan, Belize, southern Guatemala, section of Honduras, eastern Nicaragua, section of the ABC Islands, Trinidad and Tobago, Grenada, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Barbados, St. Lucia, Martinique, sections of St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Martin, the US and British Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico. And we clearly see that both the Euro and the GFS models are in agreement with that. Even Jamaica getting in on close to an inch of rainfall. And clearly the most rainfall over the next 7 days are wherever we have the dark reds into the purples, into the pinks. That represents what we see here on the key, anywhere from 2 all the way up to 5 inches of rainfall. And that could definitely be affecting portions of French Guyana, Suriname Guyana, southern and western Venezuela, much of Colombia, sections of Panama, Costa Rica, sections of El Salvador, southeastern Cuba, sections of Hispaniola, so too anywhere from Antigua and Barbuda southward. We're talking about maybe Guadeloupe, Dominica, to be more specific. And we can clearly see that when we look at both the Euro and the GFS models, these areas should definitely pick up those 2 to 5 inches of rainfall for sure. So we just hope that the people who reside in those areas are taking necessary precautions, because know that anything over an inch of rainfall, especially in a short period of time, could definitely cause some amount of isolated flash flooding. And the fact that it's going to be taking place over a 7-day time period, know that the ground is going to be saturated, so it's definitely going to be making way for some isolated flash flooding taking place in those countries. But regarding Jamaica's total accumulated precipitation forecast for the next 7 days, we can clearly see Jamaica right here, shaded in the greens and the yellows, even some slight oranges. That represents anywhere from 15 millimeters of rainfall all the way to at least close to 50 millimeters of rainfall from the eastern end to the western end. And we know that most of this rainfall that's going to be plaguing portions of northeastern parishes is going to be during the morning, and most of the rainfall across central and western parishes is going to be during the afternoon. Keep in mind that both of these maps are showing all the rainfall that's expected from now, April 22, all the way up to April 29 for the next 7 days. And clearly we see that both the Euro and the GFS models are in agreement with that. Definitely going to be getting some amount of rainfall, up to at least 40 millimeters or a little bit more across sections of the island. And whatever happens, I'll definitely be here to keep you posted with what occurs. Taking a look at the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening, we can see ridges of high pressure to the north that we know are responsible for sending all of the easterly trade winds across the main development region into the Caribbean. And we can see the broken orange lines right here, extending from northern portion of North Atlantic all the way down to eastern Caribbean, still having an airflow pressure attached to it. That trough system, to the north of that trough system we have a frontal system. And if we take a look at the visible satellite images of the Atlantic before we lost the sunlight, we can make out all of the entities that we just mentioned. The low level to mid level flow of the clouds being steered from east to west, all courtesy of the ridges of high pressure to the north. You can see the clouds associated with the frontal system right here to the north of that trough. We can see the clouds associated with the trough extending all the way down right here, and we see the spin associated with it, and definitely see that counterclockwise spin with all of that moisture feeding into the right hand side of that low pressure. And we see that upper level flow of the upper level clouds being sheared off from southwest to northeast from a portion of northern South America into a portion of the eastern Caribbean. We'll be talking more about the rest of the Caribbean weather later on. Let us focus our attention on the prediction that was made in yesterday's video about weather across Jamaica for today, Tuesday, April 22, 2025. It was stated that we might have been receiving more of what we've been receiving all week. More of that rainfall across northeastern parishes, maybe St. Anne, St. Mary, Portland, maybe even affecting the southwest, who knows. And what ended up happening, at around 4 or 1 p.m, the visible satellite image was posted right here on our Twitter page with Jamaica. And I'd like for you to keep in mind that these posts aren't only made here on our Twitter page, but they're made on our Instagram page with Jamaica, on our TikTok page with the Jamaica, and on our Facebook page with the Jamaica 876. So if you have one of those social media platforms, please ensure that you follow us there as we make posts throughout the day that you can't afford to miss. So looking closely at the visible satellite image that was posted at around 4 or 1 p.m. this afternoon, you can see the clouds that will bring overcast skies, if not some isolated showers to the very areas that we mentioned, St. Anne, St. Mary, Portland. Let me know if you reside in one of those parishes, if you actually got rainfall. We see the cloud cover, But sometimes it's very difficult to find out if we actually have rainfall, especially considering that we don't have the Doppler radar imagery to show us. We also saw some clouds across portions of south central Hanover and eastern Westmoreland right here. And if we take a look at the visible satellite images of Jamaica before we lost or beginning to lose the sunlight. What time is it now? It's about 6:43 p.m. right now. Let's see. We should be starting to lose the sunlight. You can see it's gonna be tinting a bit more, so getting darker, but clearly we can see that northeasterly flow that we've been getting, and we see that there were some clouds that were building across portions of St. Elizabeth before all was starting to wrap up with the day. But did we actually get some amount of isolated showers from these clouds? One of the residents of St. Elizabeth actually can confirm. It looks to be just partly cloudy skies, if not overcast skies. Maybe some isolated showers within there, drizzle, dew. Let me know if you reside in St. Elizabeth, if you got any rainfall. If we take a look at the infrared close-up satellite imagery, didn't see much in the way of convection, anything at all. No blues, greens, yellows, oranges, reds. No cumulonimbus clouds, just the milky whitish shades that represent the low to mid-level clouds being steered from northeast to southwest across the island. Taking a look at the live camera from Sea Jamaica's YouTube channel, showing the Barbican cam at around 12:57 p.m. You can see that it was definitely sunny. We see people driving about, going about their business. Nothing in the way of bad weather to spoil the day at all today. And I'd like for you to keep in mind that if you'd like to see more live streams like this, the Bog Walk Gorge halfway through, just subscribe to Sea Jamaica on YouTube. They have these live streams for your viewing pleasure, all for free. And they're planning on increasing the amount of cameras that they have in and around the island. So subscribe today so that you don't miss out. Even the total accumulated precipitation for the past 24 hours is in agreement that the rain for today might have been affecting mainly St. Ann, St. Mary, Portland. That's where the cloud cover was. One of the people can confirm. Let me know for sure if it actually rained there. This map, by the way, is from the CIMH, that's the Caribbean Institute for Meteorology and Hydrology website. And if we take a look at what's happening right now, let us reload this image. Let's look at the very latest still image from the Weather Nerds website. The latest still image is showing 23:35 UTC, which is actually 6:35 p.m. So this just came out 10 minutes ago, considering that it's 6:45 p.m. right now in Jamaica. And we don't really see much in the way of cloud cover. We'll have some clouds across sections of southern Portland, section of St. Elizabeth as we speak. And the Doppler radar imagery not really showing much of anything. Let us see. The latest Doppler radar is showing up to at least 7:40 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is actually 6:40 p.m. Jamaica time. And what do we see? I think I saw a speck of green right here across St. Elizabeth. Maybe in line with the satellite that we just saw. Maybe some isolated showers down there. Let me know if you're getting rainfall. The Guantanamo Bay Cuban Naval Radar imagery. Let's just reload this one as well. Not seeing much of anything in terms of rainfall across eastern Cuba or the western peninsula of Haiti. Don't see much of anything across northeastern Jamaica at this time. Let us reload the very latest Doppler radar imagery from the Cayman site. Not seeing much of anything across south central Cuba, the Cayman Islands, or western Jamaica at this time either. Taking a look at what's happening right now, according to the live camera from Sea Jamaica's YouTube channel. And the live camera right here showing the flat bridge in St. Catherine. People driving about, going about their business. Nothing in the way of bad weather taking place. Real Cobra. But definitely chilling for the time being. And that should be the order of the evening for sure. Taking a look at the temperatures right now, we can see the weather 25 degrees Celsius in both Montego Bay and Kingston. And by about 4 a.m. on Wednesday, temperature should have down to about 24 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 22 degrees Celsius in Kingston. Taking a look at the temperature forecast for tomorrow. This map from the GFS is valid for 18th on Wednesday, which is actually 1 p.m. on Wednesday. We can see Jamaica right here embedded in some slight blues and some grays. That represents average to slightly below average temperatures, as we can see here from the key on the right. So maybe average to at least 1 degree Celsius below average. I know the average temperature for the month of April across Jamaica is around 88 degrees Fahrenheit. And when that's converted to degrees Celsius, that's around 31.1 degrees Celsius. So we should be receiving anywhere from, let's say, 30.1 to 31.1 degrees Celsius at most for Jamaica's temperature on Wednesday. And we have a few maintenance outage advisories here from my JPS online Twitter page that we have to highlight. And we know that we have to highlight these because we know that when we have power outages somewhere across Jamaica, it can definitely make the heat feel even worse because we don't have our fan or our AC to cool us down. So if you live or work in these areas, or if you have friends or relatives who live or work in these areas, please let them know that a power outage is coming their way on Wednesday, April 23, 2025. We're talking about Booth Town, 9 Miles, Alston, Balestown, Top Alston, as well as Santa Hill, all in the parish of Manchester, from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. We're also referring to Brandon Hill, Zion Hill, and Mount Horrid, all in the parish of St. Andrew, from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. And we have some tips right here to beat the heat as usual. It states here, when outside, seek shade. Eat fresh, try eating cold foods such as salads and fruits. Rest, make sure you get enough sleep, and rest if you're feeling tired. Soak, take a cool shower or bath to help you cool down. And I cannot stress enough the importance of staying hydrated throughout the day. Even if you're not thirsty, drink lots of water, and put away those sugar drinks and drink water instead. Taking a look at the dry air map, we know that the dry air is represented by what we see here on the key on the bottom. That's the yellows, the oranges, the reds, and the whites within those reds. We can see the abundance of dry air right here off the coast of Africa. You can see an abundance of dry air right here across portions of the Southwest Atlantic and the Caribbean. But what we like to see is the blues and the yellows. The blues, as we know, represents the moist air, as we can see a lot of moist air across the intertropical convergence zones of the Eastern Pacific and the Atlantic, as well as the yellows represent the low end of the scale in terms of dry air. And that's what we want. We want the moist air and we want the low end of the scale in terms of dry air because that's what brings moisture to our air. We get rainfall to keep water in our pipes. But regarding the oranges and the reds, we know that that makes the atmosphere stable, making it harder for it to rain for sure. Looking at the Saharan dust forecast for 18 UTC on Tuesday, well, this shouldn't be saying Tuesday. I wonder if it's glitching out again. It should be saying Wednesday. Come on, it's definitely glitching out. Alright, there we go. Let's use this map, because this was the one that was used. I see it's showing Tuesday, not showing 1 p.m. No problem. Alright, so looking at this one, because it's glitching out, we're looking at 12 UTC on Wednesday, which is actually 7 a.m. on Wednesday. And we can see the browns that represent the Saharan dust across portions of Europe, Asia, and Africa, extending into portions of the main development region and the southeastern Caribbean, the Windward Islands, and portions of northern South America. And we're glad that the more west it pushes because of the high pressure to the north, we see that it's dwindling, only making it at least up to a 12 in intensity, as we can see here across sections of northern Venezuela. Some of it extending into portion of the Windward Islands as well. Nothing too significant. I'm sure that the people who reside there won't even notice the Saharan dust. What we're glad for is the fact that we're not seeing the dark shades of browns that are all the way over here. Let it remain here, because know that can cause very hazy skies, not to mention trigger somewhat of respiratory illnesses in some persons. So we're glad that all of us here in the Greater Antilles are experiencing clear weather for the time being. Taking a look at the wave forecast for tomorrow, we're now seeing that the highest waves into the purples and the pinks, represents the 2 to 3 meter wave heights, are to the north of Hispaniola, to the east of the Bahamas right here, while the low waves, as represented by the light shades of blues to dark shades of blues, represent anywhere from 0.5 meter wave height to 1.5 meter wave height across portion of the Gulf and the Caribbean. Zooming in, Jamaica's wave forecast for tomorrow. Makes sense that the waves on the north coast are still going to be higher given the northeasterly flow still expected. 1.3 meter wave heights expected on the north coast, 1 meter wave height on the south coast. The closer to the coast we are, the lower the waves. 0.5 meter wave height the closer to the south and southwestern coasts for sure. And that's because of the winds that are expected. We see the air of low pressure right here spinning away. We see the air rushing around the ridge of high pressure, bring more of a southerly flow on the eastern side of the low pressure, more of a northerly or northeasterly flow across the waters to the west of the air of low pressure. still bringing that northeasterly flow into the Bahamas, Cuba, east-northeasterly flow across the northwestern Caribbean and the Yucatan. Then we have more of a southeasterly flow into the Gulf, into portions of Texas and northeastern Mexico. More of an east-southeasterly or southeasterly flow into the Windward Islands, easterly flow to a west-southwesterly flow, or east-northeast to west-southwesterly flow into the southwestern Caribbean. And we see the greens representing from 5 to 10 to 15 knots at most. The strongest wind should be right here to the north of the airflow pressure. We have these yellows representing anywhere from 20 to 25, maybe even gusting to 30 knots at most. But regarding Jamaica's wind forecast for tomorrow, we see the wind should be coming in from the northeast from the windward passage between Cuba and Haiti. The wind should be coming in at about 12 knots right here to the north of Portland, 16 knots right here to the north of Hanover, definitely 15 knots right here to the south of St. Thomas. Not really strong right here where we have the blues at all. And if we take a look at the upper level winds, should be coming in from the west-northwest tomorrow. So if we actually get convection, the cloud tops will be sheared off towards the east-southeast. And if we take a look at the actual rainfall forecast maps now, both maps here from the Euro and the GFS are showing 1 p.m. Eastern. Standard time is actually 12 noon, midday. And what do both of them show? Some blues represent some isolated shores across sections of Portland. And we see that on both the Euro and the GFS. The Euro trying to incorporate sections of St. Thomas and St. Mary. We're working with the consensus, mainly Portland is what both maps are showing. So let's see if we actually get some rainfall in Portland, and keep in mind that this rainfall could even start earlier than midday. It's going to be very interesting to see what plays out. Even the total accumulated precipitation forecast maps are showing that there's not much in the way of rainfall expected within the next 24 hours. The most rainfall should be across section of Portland, 0.09 of an inch of rainfall, according to the latest Euro and the GFS models. And whatever happens, we'll definitely take it. We're in the month of April, and in Kingston, whose bar graph is being shown right here at the top, we usually receive close to 40 millimeters for the month of April in terms of rainfall. In Montego Bay, whose bar graph is being shown right here at the bottom, we usually receive close to 4 inches of rainfall for the month of April. And I'd like for you to keep in mind that if you'd like to find out what your specific parish usually receives in terms of rainfall for the month of April or for the entire year, you can visit weatherandclimate.com, and that website to show that information. And you can use this nice graphic right here that converts rainfall from inches to millimeters. You know that 1 inch of rainfall is about the same as 25 millimeters of rainfall, so you can do the math yourself. Alright, so that is it for the forecast across Jamaica. Let us focus our attention on the rest of the Caribbean. So as stated, we have that airflow pressure. It will bring more of a northeasterly flow into a portion of Hispaniola as we speak. We have the trough right here, still situated to the east of the Windward and Leeward Islands. Some of the moisture definitely affecting a portion of the Windward Islands. We see the usual thunderstorm activity across portions of Central America and Northern South America too. And if we take a look at the Doppler radar imagery of the northeastern Caribbean, let's head over to Puerto Rico. Let's see what's happening over there. We're seeing some isolated shores to the south and southwest of there to the north of Puerto Rico. Unloading these images from earlier today at around 1:20 p.m. We saw that we're getting some isolated shores across northeastern Puerto Rico right there. Taking a look at the Barbados radar, we see the trough definitely causing some rainfall to the east of Barbados, the southwest of Barbados, affecting sections of St. Vincent and the Grenadines as we speak. Don't see much of anything across St. Lucia or Martinique right now, not to mention Trinidad and Tobago. If we take a look at the weather view of Doppler radar imagery, we can see some amount of rainfall right here across sections of Venezuela, eastern and northwestern Venezuela, Colombia, as well as Guyana and Suriname. We see some moderate heavy rainfall too. And regarding where the brunt of the rainfall is expected within the next 24 hours, both maps here from the Euro and the GFS are showing all the rainfall that's expected from now up until 10 p.m. on Wednesday, and we can clearly see that the most rainfall is represented by the reds, close to an inch of rainfall. We're going to be lashing portions of Central America and Northern South America, Costa Rica, Panama, Colombia, Venezuela, Guyana, Suriname, French Guiana, section of the ABC Islands. Some rainfall expected across section of El Salvador, just some isolated shores in the greens for section of Nicaragua, Honduras, southern or southeastern Belize, Guatemala. Some rainfall isolated at that for section of northeastern Jamaica, eastern Cuba, sections of the southern and eastern Bahamas, Haiti, Dominican Republic, especially the northern portion of the Dominican Republic getting in some of that action. And we can clearly see that there's definitely going to be some amount of rainfall extending from anywhere from Guadeloupe southward, Dominica, Martinique, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, section of Barbados, Trinidad and Tobago as well. And we can clearly see that both the Euro and the GFS modes are in agreement with this forecast. I know that when they're in agreement like this, the chances are higher for it to actually take place. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.